You have the right to remain silent. You have God-given rights. You violated our rights. We have to fight for our rights to party. You no longer have the right to do that. Folks, where do rights come from? Let's find out. Here's an article from the Council on Foreign Relations from October 9th, 2012, titled, "Where Do Our Rights Come From?" by Elliot Abrams. And he mentions the self-evident truths of the Declaration of Independence, that all men are created and are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. The main United Nations documents are far more ambiguous. The peoples of the United Nations have reaffirmed their faith in fundamental human rights. Rights, but never suggestion why they are rights and whence they came. But the UN's second highest official has just given us the answer. Rights come from the United Nations itself. You have this gift given to us by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, so you have to keep in mind, yes, this is the basis for, I hope, most of the countries in the world, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, since this is the Universal Declaration. So this individual is saying that the rights come from the UN, United Nations. Okay. Deeper problem here. They are inherent in us as men and women, and the state of or international institutions such as the UN have no right to denigrate them or take them away, as they are shaky as a leaf or as a gift in the hands of bureaucrats and officials. If there is no God who endows us with rights, there really are no rights at all, just gifts the state may or may not hand us from time to time. Now this is the most logical thing that I've read in the fiction for a long time. Let's read it again together, you and I, shall we? If there is no God who endows us with rights, i.e. Creator, there really are no rights at all, just gifts the state may or may not hand us from time to time and also take away from time to time. That is the truth. God, Christianity, culture, history, experience, universal values, other sources. This 1992 post-communist constitution throws all possible sources of rights into the basket. Certainly that's better than viewing them as a gift from the United Nations. So this individual doesn't answer the question that their article asks. They don't say where the source of rights are, because ultimately they don't really exist. Rights are more like a consensus agreement about something forced upon people, basically. Let's dig a little deeper. What are the three God-given rights in the United States of America? According to Quora, one commenter says, there aren't any God-given rights in the U.S. I'm guessing you're referring to the Declaration of Independence, which says all men are endowed by their Creator with unalienable rights. Among these are the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. First, God is not mentioned, and Creator is not a synonym for God. Many of the founders were anti-Christian deists. The word Creator was intentionally used in order to separate the U.S. from Christianity. Okay, so in order to agree with a contract, you have to have closure on the terms. So what's Creator then? So the rights are basically given to you, what, by your parents? You got to do what mom and dad say? Is that what it is? All right, here's the other thing I wanted to point out. Life, you have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Do you know what liberty is, folks? Liberty in maritime law basically means you have permission to leave a vessel for a time, but you have to return. Liberty does not mean freedom. You are still under servitude. And so another right is a right to life. So you have a right to live, that's good. But that right can be taken away, right? And then we have the pursuit of happiness. So you have the right to pursue happiness, but you don't have the right to be happy. But you have the right to pursue it. Got it? Second, the Declaration of Independence doesn't grant any rights. It's declaring our independence from England. So there's no such thing as a God-given right. Okay, so that's two articles saying that. So let's go into a legal dictionary and see what that has to say. Law.com says a right is an entitlement to something. Oh, now we're getting into entitlements. I.e., remember the first article? A gift. Whether to concepts like justice and due process, or to ownership of property or some interest in property, real or personal. These rights include various freedoms, protection against interference with enjoyment of life and property, civil rights enjoyed by citizens such as voting and access to the courts, natural rights accepted by civilized societies, human rights to protect people throughout the world from terror, torture, barbaric practices, and deprivation of civil rights and profit from their labor, and such U.S. constitutional guarantees as right to freedom of speech, press, religion, assembly, and petition. So that's the legal, one of the legal definitions of right. So again, these things are granted by the state or the government or an authority. Allow me to reiterate what authority means. Author is part of the word authority. So that means if you author a document, you write a document, you are the author of it, you are the authority of it. So rights have to have an authority. So even in correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar, you can draft up a correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar constitution if you want to. If you have a group of folks, of live life claimants together in a group on a certain area or whatever you want to do, and you can create, through cooperation of all the live life claimants, a contract of a constitution, setting out what you may call rights or rules or whatever you want to call them, terms and conditions. And if you all agree to them, then that document becomes the authority because you all agreed to it. And you are the authority of it. And if a problem comes up later, then you would build that into the contract to say, well, if someone later on has an issue or something happens because of this, then we would do this and fix it. Okay? Or if someone violates that contract, then they are out. They are excised from the contract. However that materializes, that's what happens if you violate the contract. That's one way to do it. But see, you have to be part of the contract in order to do that. And there is an authority there. There's an author there. And if you are a group of people, then everyone there would have authority over the document because they would be in joinder with the contract. It doesn't really work that way with the fiction, does it? Especially with the Constitution of the United States or the Declaration of Independence or whatever you want to call it, those types of documents. I know my wet ink markings aren't on there by my hand. So how does it even apply to me? Matter of fact, how does the birth certificate that has my adjective, pronoun, all caps name on it, how does that even apply to me? The answer is it doesn't. Because I had nothing to do with it. If anything, we are coerced into those things. And coercion is a form of rape, and it is no contract. War negates contract. What are the etymological roots of right? Old English, RIHT, that which is morally right, duty, obligation, rule of conduct, law of the land, what someone deserves, a just claim, what is due, equitable treatment, correctness, truth. Privilege. See, return, right, Middle English, a right action, a good deed, that which is just or true, righteous. The meaning of the right hand, right side came later. correct, morally correct. Okay, check it out. This is reconstructed to be from Proto-Indo-European root reg, to move in a straight line. So check it out. So this hypothetically would be the root of the word right, in the sense meaning correct or whatever. But see, look what else comes to it. Correct. So correctness comes from an authority, right? Just like rights come from an authority. You can be correct if you're on the same geometric level playing field as everyone else, but rights don't apply in the domain of fact. And that's what I'm getting around to here. Correctness applies, but the term of rights in the fiction, the way it's used in the fiction, does not apply in correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar, and I'm going to tell you why. In the domain of fact, in the domain of correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar, under the 1x1.9 Title IV flag of correct grammar, the term we apply to being right, the translation would be most closely correctness, to be correct, correct, together along the same straight path. Now, as I just showed you, that correct comes from basically, hypothetically, the same Proto-Indo-European root as right does. In the domain of fact, everything is based on grammar, and it's based on the facts of the grammar used in that grammar being certified by a continuance of evidence. So every fact that is put on a quantum grammar document using correct grammar must be certifiable. You must be able to verify it, confirm it, prove it, or the continuance of the evidence. I would not put a fact after a positional and a allodial unless I could prove it to you with the continuance of the evidence, most times through first-hand knowledge, seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, tasting. Okay? That's the way to certify your facts. Well, it's one of the main ways to do that. So to claim authority over these things, you better be able to prove what you put on that piece of paper. And if you put the word God on there, or creator on there, and you refer to something as God-given correctness, or God-given rights, now you could be held to task to prove what a God is. To prove it. Can you see it? Can you touch it? Can you taste it? Can you smell it? Can you hear it? Or is it based on assumption, presumption? Is it based on, as in the fiction they say, faith? If it's based on faith, it ain't going to work in correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar. If it's based on assumption, presumption, everything's going to fall apart. That's my experience anyways. Now, of course, you're more than welcome to believe whatever you want to believe, even though BE means no and leave means love, so believe means no love. Kind of like behead means no head. I don't participate with the concept of rights in the domain of fact, because rights, as we read in that very first article from the Council on Foreign Relations, rights are basically gifts from the nanny state, from the UN, the US government, whatever government you live under or are coerced to participate with. It comes from there. They're gifts, and they can be given and taken away, and they have no basis in fact. They're arbitrary. Based upon what? You guessed it. Might makes right. Why do you think the legal system gets away with the bullshit it gets away with? Because they have the bigger guns and clubs. They can force you, at the end of the day, to do whatever they want you to do. They can drain your bank account. They can put your family in jail. They can put you in jail. They can beat you and get away with it if they want to. And people say, that's terrible. What do we do about it? Well, as Smokey the Bear once said, only you can prevent forest fires. And one way to do this is to participate with the 3 principles that my tutor, Colin Ravenhardt and Farhad Evin Tohidi Colin Efrain, and myself came up with years ago and use successfully in our correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, document, contract, postal vessel, court, venues. The first principle is the balance of the honor and the grace. The position of peace and neutrality is the second one, and the third one is the maintenance of Rule 1, Rule Equal. If you put those 3 things into your contract and your volition is correct, you'll be successful. You'll be able to stop a bureaucratic trespass. You don't need to worry about rights or gifts from the government, because there are no bunk beds in a casket. You come here the same, you leave the same, and it's all up to you. The cosmos helps those who help themselves. That's basically it. And to give Colin Russell-J. Colin Gould a little credit, actually we'll call it pre-2017 Russell J. Gould. Do no harm. It's that simple. Now that guy may not follow his own advice, but I think it's a pretty, if you're going to use, a negative statement, like the 10 Commandments are negative. Thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not, blah, 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 blah. They're all negative conditions of state. Well, if you're going to do that, just narrow it down to one thing. Do no harm. How hard is that, right? Right. I prefer the word right from its earliest nativity root meaning, which is a synonym for correct. Rule 1, Rule Equal. Together, along a straight line. And in the spirit of that, I would like to thank this community. The ones watching me right now, you know who you are, who've been with me a long time. We're a small group, but we all have what one could say is correct volition. And I appreciate having people like that around me. And to you new viewers out there, well, if you want to learn correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar, stay tuned for the end of this video for information on how you can do that. As always, caveat emptor, in case sera, sera.